Hey y'all, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you so much for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. I have a important story to share with you. I'm going to go right to it. Russia drops all missile limits after Trump's nuke threat. So I'm going to play this. Putin scraps INF restrictions amid nuclear standoff. Moscow frees its missiles, arms race returns to NATO doorstep. Russia officially ends moratorium on short and medium-range missile deployments. Kremlin says Moscow is no longer bound by INF-era restrictions on missile ranges. Russia's foreign ministry blames U.S. and NATO for destabilizing the strategic balance. Moscow now free to deploy ground-launched missiles between 500 and 5,500 kms. The U.S. withdrew from the INF Treaty in 2019, accusing Russia of non-compliance. Russia had previously promised not to deploy banned missiles unless the U.S. did first. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned in December that Moscow may respond to U.S. missile moves.
I've already put out a statement, and the answer is they are in the region, where they have to be.
This comes as Donald Trump moved 2 U.S. nuclear submarines closer to Russia last week. Trump was ticked off by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev's remarks. Tweets, posts, whatever, ridiculous. Dmitry Medvedev condemned Trump's ultimatum to Russia, demanding a ceasefire by August 8th or face tariffs as a threat and a step toward war. The former Russian president also referenced Russia's dead hand nuclear system. On August 4th, Russia urged caution with nuclear rhetoric after Trump's order. Kremlin spokesperson said everyone should be careful about nuclear rhetoric. Arms race now escalates as Russia removes last limits on mid-range missile deployments. Lord have mercy. Europe and Asia face new security risks as Russia drops INF-era missile restrictions. Moscow's decision raises fears of missile deployments near NATO borders on short notice. You know, it doesn't take much to kick off something. Every world war seemed to be a little thing that turned into something huge. And arguments with a tweet or post over things that apparently there was even an emoji at the end was a smiley face from Medvedev. So really, he was just basically reminding Trump that, hey, we have this dead hand, which means that if you strike us first, we will respond. They didn't say they were going to strike us first. So this is quite an escalation, and I know the U.S. tends to think that everybody bluffs because we do a lot, and obviously Trump has done a lot of that blustering and nothing happens. But let me just tell you that both Russia and China are not bluffers. They mean what they say and they do what they say. So, this is where we are now. And it really makes you feel like those wondering if there's going to be nuclear weapons used in World War III, well, this sure looks like it. Seems like a harbinger of things to come, but scary, I must say. Dangerous. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have, and I do have an article to share on that. Let me go in there on that one and just read you what the article says. Russia no longer considers itself bound by nuclear treaty with U.S. Conditions for maintaining a unilateral moratorium on the deployment of intermediate range missiles have disappeared, says the Foreign Ministry in Moscow. Moscow believes that conditions for maintaining the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with the U.S. has disappeared and no longer considers itself bound by it, according to a statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry. The INF Treaty, which banned ground-launched missiles with ranges of 500 to 5,500 kilometers, collapsed in 2019 when Washington withdrew, citing Russian violations. Moscow has denied the claims, accusing the U.S. itself of developing banned missiles. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned that the collapse of the INF will significantly erode the global security framework. That's right. The Russian Foreign Ministry notes the disappearance of conditions for maintaining the unilateral moratorium on the deployment of similar weapons and is authorized to state that Russia no longer considers itself bound by the corresponding self-imposed restrictions previously adopted. According to the ministry, the actions of Western countries are creating a direct threat to Russian security. Yes, because what's going on with Russia right now is existential. It's not just, we want to, sell some arms. We want to take over, supposedly do all these aggressive moves and hope that a country just falls. No. Russia is fighting for its survival, for its people, for its culture, for its life, okay? It also noted that last year the U.S. deployed a Typhoon missile launcher in the Philippines. The statement also referenced the Talisman Sabre exercise in Australia, where the U.S. Army also fired Typhoon. Typhoon is a mobile ground-based launcher designed to launch Tomahawk cruise missiles range up to 1,800 kilometers and SM-6 multi-purpose missiles range up to 500 kilometers. The foreign minister also took notice of the Australian Army testing an American precision strike missile for the first time in July. The PRSM has a maximum range beyond 500 kilometers and is central to strengthening Australia's land and maritime strike capability, according to the country's defense ministry. The Russian statement added further, decisions on specific perimeters of response measures will be made by Russia's leadership based on an inter-agency analysis of the scale of the deployment of American and other Western ground-based intermediate range and short-range missiles, as well as the overall development of the situation in the field of international security and strategic stability. Moscow has repeatedly voiced the possibility of lifting the moratorium, for example, after the U.S. announced plans to deploy long-range weapons in Germany in 2026. In November, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Russia is developing intermediate and short-range missiles in response to Washington's actions. The Kremlin has not ruled out deploying the missiles in the Asia-Pacific region. U.S. President Donald Trump, who during his first term withdrew from the INF in the 1992 Open Skies Treaty, which allowed conducting surveillance flights over each other's territory, has suggested that he would resume negotiations on maintaining the existing restrictions on nuclear weapons with Russia. Well, yeah. So, again, I'll say it again. This is a dangerous moment in history. Once again, with this threat of use of nuclear weapons. Now, I heard that Russia may want to use their anti something like anti-sub or anti-nuke or missile, I forget. It's these weapons on their subs that destroys other submarines who have that. So basically, they might want to take out the American subs that have these nukes. So that's what we're hearing right now. So share your thoughts if you'd like. It's definitely something to look out for in the near future. I don't know what this is all going to culminate to or whatever, but it makes you think that Metropolitan Theophilus and his sharing of the prophecy saying that nuclear weapons will be used seems more likely than not. Especially if people get really desperate and they've all gone mad. It's possible. God willing, that won't happen, but let's pray that God lessens what's to come, as I've said several times. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for following me. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Until next time.